Hey everybody, I've just been explaining stuff with the mic muted for a while. Um, so basically what we have here is these two legs down. We just broke out of the overnight low, very common to get a fade back higher. We have this spike down, we spiked out when we broke out, and so we're likely to get a symmetrical move back up because when price spikes in one direction, it's very common to see a spike back in the other direction, especially when you're at a major key level like a large measured move. I don't bet on price just reversing on to make a symmetrical move after a spike. You have to have other reason to get in. And our reason is we have this big measured move down for a long, which is going along well with this uptrend. And so we have these two legs down here, and then price reversed right off that measured move, spiked on up, went into this uptrend last few days, and now we are here. So we were in this overnight range right here. It was kind of a little bit sideways. The EMA is going sideways even from yesterday. And then, pushed up, pushed down. That's our overnight low. And price pushed out, spiked out of it. And even though it's not 8:30 Central Time yet, the reason, and so basically the overnight low could change since it's not the market open yet. However, it's very common for price to spike while breaking out, and that's exactly what we have here, indicating that this is a solid level here. You can ignore pardon my texts in the background. And so anyway, looking to fade back up here, buy this measured move, and go along with the uptrend. So I'm going to pause this recording, or I'm just going to mute myself and let this play out. And thanks for watching. I'll see you all in a little bit. So yeah, we're making 2 legs up, heading towards the target, 100 ticks on the NQ. A couple ticks away. And there we go. So, sometimes that stuff happens. It'll go 1 tick from your stop or so, but, you know, that's just part of trading, part of learning. And, every now and then you'll get hit. It's not a big deal. You just gotta, keep on going from there. Don't let it affect the rest of your day. And in this case here, a lot of people would get out when they see something like that. It goes down to their stop, and they immediately look to get out. Now, buying measured moves like this, because when I started trading, I was a scalper, 1-point scalps. I'm not saying that's bad, but personally, for me, it's just not, it just was not for me. Scalping wasn't for me. Having so much more risk than reward, I couldn't do it, so I started going for 1-to-1. I called it bigger picture. And yeah, so this is what I'm looking into now. In certain contexts, you can buy measured moves directly on the level with a limit order waiting for price to reach it. In this case here, I was a bit late because it had already reached it, and then I had to get in. I still got in with a limit order. It started pushing up right here, and then I got in with a limit order as it came back down here. And so, we had this trend line right here. Trend lines, just like anything else, just like measured moves, just like, range highs and lows, they do act as magnets, and it was strong enough to pull price to it. And so, 100 ticks, that seemed good to me. Part of that was also getting it underneath the, the channel right here. But, so this is just, I just wanted to record this trade, show what I'm doing, these measured moves here. Usually, for the longest time, I wouldn't buy measured moves like this. I would just, I basically just used the fundamentals that I'd learned from scalping, and then just did it on a bigger picture. So I would still wait for a confirmation bar, a signal bar. But this method right here, I've been looking into for quite a long time now, and it is 100% a valid method. Basically, you just got to use the day's volume, use the chart, the context to determine the stop size, and also of course determine whether or not any given measured move is worth buying. And so just thought I'd make this video real quick, and yeah, I'll probably record something else throughout the session. I might just pop in and out like I did yesterday. And so yeah, I'll see y'all in a little bit. Alright, so just doing a quick update here. So we have this up measured move in play. The uptrend got a break. Price is pushing on up here, making a second leg higher. So first leg up, 2-legged break, push on up, making that second leg up. Now, so the measured move is all the way up here, but we do have some resistance forming over here. We have the overnight high right here, which clearly was influenced from some price action from the previous day. We have this swing right here. Price is starting to turn down a little bit right there. And so we could get a couple legs down soon, which, could give us a great long to reach this measured move up here, or at least, to get up to one of these resistance levels over here. So we'll see what happens. We really do have good context for a long. The uptrend has a break, expecting a new high, which of course goes really well with the wider uptrend that we're in. So I'd like to see that a couple legs back, could offer a great long. Now, if price does reach the overnight high first, then that, we would want to see 2 really perfect legs. Because when price comes off of a key level like this, like an overnight high, overnight low, it's common to get stronger reversals. So we're going to want to see 2 clear measured legs pushing off of it in order to get a long. It doesn't have to be as cookie cutter looking if it's not directly coming off a key level, but I'd like to see 2 nice legs down, could offer a great long, and yeah, it could be off that key entry point, which it did pierce through, and whenever price pierces through a key entry point, you can look to extend it. I like to leave it for a little bit because, if price reaches down and reacts to it, then it's still valid. Sometimes it'll pierce through, immediately retest on that level. Sometimes you'll get a break, and then it'll push up into a failed second entry, holding on the key entry point. So just keep that in mind. I'm gonna hop over to the ES real quick so y'all can see what I'm doing on there. Basically similar, we have an uptrend, we have a break, price is attempting to make a new high, which is also breaking this wider channel here. And so we got these two legs down, pushing up into a reversal. The down measured move is still in play. So if we get two legs back, possibly retesting the overnight low right here, that could give us a short to reach the measured move. But this uptrend is a whole lot bigger. So you really just have to stick with what price does. If you get two attempts at a new high and it can't get higher, then yeah, you can look to go short. Those would basically be your two attempts at a new high for this uptrend right here, meaning you could get in on a failure entry. And so you just got to stick with what price does. Price very easily could push down, reach this measured move, and then push up into a great reversal pattern. And for a long to make that new high for this uptrend right here. Sometimes it needs to reach the smaller levels, to make the bigger picture moves to, in this case, make the new high for the uptrend. So just wanted to do this quick update. And yep, I'll see y'all later. Alright, so we're pushing out of the highs here on the NQ. We have this measured move in play. I'm thinking we could push up a bit higher, get a couple legs down, retesting the overnight high. That could give us a good long. Or of course it could continue on higher and reach the measured move without us. But I'd like to see a couple legs back. It could make a couple legs back, pushing back in, which could still offer us an entry, but we'd have to consider that if that happens, it would be right after an overnight high fade. So I'd like to see two measured legs, really clear, perfect legs, before entering long. But ideally, we just stay above here, get a couple legs down, and hold off of this overnight high. Because when you break out of an overnight high, you can't just buy the breakout. You need to wait for confirmation. You need to wait for two attempts to fade to get in on a fade failure. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, just wanted to comment on that. Here is the ES. We're getting a couple legs up, about to retest the overnight low. Downtrend has a break, expecting price to attempt a new low, while at the same time the uptrend has a break, expecting price to attempt a new high. And you are getting those two attempts there. So if we get a good reaction, we have this up measured move in place still, so we have to consider that. We could get a short soon. So we just have to consider it, and which would go well with the NQ. I always say don't trade one based on the other, but we are at the overnight high on the NQ, so it would make sense if a short sets up on the ES soon. So anyway, just wanted to do that update, and I will unpause it shortly probably. Alright, so I just want to do a quick update. It's only been about 2 minutes since that last recording. So we have these two legs up. We're getting a reaction to the overnight low right here. This is on the ES. Downtrend has a break. Expect price to attempt a new low. Now, we still have this measured move in play right here, and considering the uptrend, that's not a small deal. I'm not going to go short right here. Now, if price pushes below the EMA and holds below the EMA, possibly going into a failed second entry, then we could absolutely get a short down there. And so I'm kind of looking at that here on the ES. Over on the NQ, we're pushing off of the overnight, or not the overnight, we're pushing off of this range high right here. Notice this previous swing. And we're getting a good reaction to that, not wanting to enter short directly into this trend line right here, especially given the overall trend. Now, it's fine to look for a short, even though we're in this trend here, because, obviously we're also in a complete sideways range at the end of a two-legged move higher. And yeah, we just continue on pushing down here. Yeah, it'd be nice to see two clear legs down, retesting the overnight high right there. That could offer another long for another chance to reach that measured move. It barely didn't reach it. It might, be counted as reaching it, like it might just reverse on down here and not look back. But every now and then it'll miss it by, a few ticks and then end up pushing on higher and reaching it and then turning down. So sometimes it looks like it's reversing a little bit early when it's not. If we push on up there still could be another chance. Anyway, so that's going to do it for this little recording, and I will see y'all later. Alright, only about 50 ticks left on this bar right here. I don't like how it just closed right underneath the EMA and also the trend line. I was wanting it to just have a little spike above there. It looks like it would also be blocked by that wider trend line. Not quite actually, but still, want to see something above. Okay, so this bar is almost finished. I'd like it to close on its high. I'd like my okay. All right, order is placed. Waiting on a fill. So this is 1-to-1. Target within the overnight high. Downtrend has a break. 2 clear legs to a new low. Great bullish reaction off of this overnight low right here. Expecting a new high for this uptrend, which just had a break. So therefore we can expect price to attempt a new extreme. And so yeah, that's the idea behind this trade. I am going to let this play out. I'll just let it sit here and record. And yeah. Sorry, I was just explaining stuff for a sec with no mic. So we're in the trade here, 1-to-1. Again, downtrend just played out with 2 legs to a new low. Sharp reaction off that overnight low, a major key level. This uptrend has a small break. We can still expect price to attempt a new extreme. So this is all looking great for going along here. And yeah, so I'm just going to let this trade record, and then I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so we're out. All right, target just got filled. Just want to show the whole chart again. So we're in this uptrend, kind of just recapping. Downtrend played out, pushing off the overnight low. Great bullish reaction. I like going long there. So, just wanted to share all this and, kind of, I recorded some. I was thinking about pausing the recording and then just cutting through, but I know y'all like to see the whole trade. So, anyway, I will pause it again, and if anything else interesting happens, which actually, oh wow, it's already noon. All right, never mind. I'm gonna be done trading. I usually take off at noon, and yeah, I'm gonna get this video uploaded, and then yeah, have a great day, everybody.